In this review we look at a model of a machine made by the South Korean company Doosan. It is a wheeled excavator snappily known as the DX165WR. On the back of the box is a picture of the real machine, and there's also information about it showing that this is an under 20-ton machine. The model is made by Doosan's preferred model maker IMC. The box weighs about 14 ounces or about 400 grams. The box has a see-through window, and when we pull out the insides, we can see that the model is held between a pair of plastic formers. They are of the pop clip variety, and you get a sense of satisfaction when you pull the poppers apart. The model comes in 3 parts, which is the excavator, and unusually the outrigger beam and the stabilising blade are separate parts. Before we start, just a reminder that you can see a lot more about models on the Cranes Etc. website, and the link to it is in the video description below. Also, if you want to know where you can buy scale models, then you can click on links on the website, including those in the shopping mall. And listed here are dealers that sell models in countries across the world. For the assembly, we can rig the machine up to its full configuration, and we'll start by adding the outrigger beam. There's a slot in the carrier, and we insert the outrigger beam into it and push it down. Having perfected it the first time, we then do the same again with the blade. Starting underneath, it's fairly simple and modelled for functionality, and the tyres have a decent tread pattern. They are mounted on good-looking, detailed wheels, and both the blade and the outriggers are metal components. The cab has very good detailing with a windscreen wiper and plastic mirror, and there's a light bar on the roof. At the rear there's a beacon light and a small aerial. The cab sides look very good with the windows having seals. The door handle is modelled and there's sharp graphics, and the side grille is also modelled with graphics. The realistic look is continued at the back with warning signs, and the decoration of the counterweight is crisply done. There are lights and cameras on top, and the various parts of the engine housing are all modelled. Overall it looks good enough, and the exhaust pipe has a bit of a hole. On the other side of the machine, the handrails are metal and nicely thin, and there are more mirrors, lights and cameras. There are hydraulic connections to the boom rams. The steps leading up to the engine area have nice texturing. There is some high quality detailing of the hydraulics, and that includes both pipework and soft hoses. The Doosan name is crisply printed, and on the stick there's a hydraulics line running for any attachments. There are some silver rivets visible on the model, but comparing it to the photo on the box, that is reasonably accurate. A nice small detail on the connection point is a usable lifting eye, and the metal bucket has got decent teeth and wear plate detailing. For the functionality, the rear wheels spin together on a common axle, and the steered wheels are separate. There is steering, and it achieves a moderate angle. Out onto the Cranes Etc. test track, and the Doosan rolls quite freely and smoothly. With the steering set we can get a moderate angle, but I'd expect that the real machine can achieve a tighter circle. As is usual, one axle can oscillate a little, and the range on that seems realistic to the real machine. Next, for digging stability, we can put the outriggers down. And one thing to say is that these beams are not rigidly fixed in their holders, so they easily rotate out of a horizontal position. If you are careful, you can just about set the model into a wheels-free position, but the beam and blade can slide up out of their slotted connections. A nice little touch on the model is the hinged protection plate, and if you hold the blade connection steady you can raise the blade. Next we can go for a spin, and that means we can fully rotate the model. It's smooth enough and there's no rocking involved. Next we come on to the digging action, and this machine has a 2-part boom, so there's lots of flexibility. The hydraulic rams have decent stiffness, and you can reach out far or reach up high. The other option you have is to fold the machine up quite small, and you just need a little bit of dexterity with your fingers to get it as small as possible. And it is possible to achieve a reasonable looking transport load. Sometimes you've got to dig deep, and the engineering for that on the model is very good, and overall you can achieve a pretty decent digging depth. Another feature on the model is that it has an opening engine cover, and it opens up reasonably wide and stays in an open position. And then you can see the engine inside, which looks like it's metal, although it is hard to tell, but it does have some good detailing, so this is also an interesting little feature. Another thing the model has, and all excavators should have it, is a removable bucket. On this model it works by undoing a pair of nuts and bolts, and although it's a little bit fiddly because of their small size, you can get the bucket off if you want. Of course, a model like this always looks good posed with others, and as a smaller sized excavator you can always show it as a transport load. This is a nice quality wheeled excavator by IMC Models. The standard of detailing is high and there's some interesting functionality. The blade and outriggers are removable, but that does mean they don't fix on quite so rigidly. Overall, this is an interesting excavator model, which is very good.